Have you ever seen a 16-year-old girl walk into a den of wolves and silence them with just a jacket? This is a true story of courage, legacy, and kindness that never dies. Hit like if you believe in second chances. And subscribe to kindnessTalesstories, because the world needs more light. The entrance to the dusty roadside tavern groaned open as a tiny silhouette slipped inside, allowing a streak of dying sunlight to cut through the thick haze. The chuckles paused for just a moment, long enough for every scarred inkajays to swing toward her. She couldn't have been older than 16, perhaps 17. Draped in a battered leather coat far too large for her build. Her shoes wear-caked in mud, her pants ripped, and her hair pulled back in a tangled knot. She faltered, gripping the hem of her coat. Like shielding armor as the stares around her swelled with puzzlement, intrigue, and soon amusement. It wasn't harsh at first, more the type of shock that spreads through a group when something feels misplaced. But then the amusement grew louder, a few whistles bouncing off the walls. The Iron Wolves, one of the most dreaded biker gangs in the region, had never witnessed Anion like her enter unaccompanied. A young girl standing among weathered men, what-aimed steel beasts and followed codes older than her years. The largest of them, Hawk, leaned back and let out a roar. "What's this? A stray camp kid?" The room exploded again, glasses clinking, boots thudding. But the girl stayed still. She remained there inhaling deeply until the uproar began to fade. And that's when they spotted the emblem on the back of her coat. Before we continue, if you value compassion, fresh starts, and the strength of quiet bravery, please pause to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, kindnessTalesstories. Your support helps us share tales that prove goodness still exists in the world. The emblem wasn't common. It was aged, its shades dulled, but the letters stood out. Iron Wolves, found in number. A stillness settled over their room. The men who had just been chuckling suddenly sat upright, exchanging glances in astonishment. That emblem wasn't something anyone could simply purchase out. It belonged to icons, to the first riders who had formed the club Depict, long before most of these men had even signed up. The girl turned gradually, locking eyes with them. Her voice shook, but she didn't conceal it. "This coat belonged to my father," she said gently. "Noah Brooks." A wave of quiet swept through the room like a chill breeze. That name, Noah Brooks, was etched into the heart of every man seated there. He had been one of the Iron Wolves' finest riders, a guide, and a man who never shied from a battle or from doing what was just. He passed years ago in a crash on Route 66, rescuing a family trapped in a flaming vehicle. None of them had seen his daughter since the burial, and now there she was, standing before them in his coat. Her name was Lila, and she wasn't there to dwell on memories. She had come seeking aid. Her mother's condition was worsening, the debt stacking high, and no one in town appeared ready to assist. "I didn't know where else to turn," she confessed softly. "Mom always said, Dad's brothers would never let you down." Her words struck like lightning around her. The amusement had shifted to regret. These men, huge, rugged, boisterous, were suddenly hushed, their expressions easing as past rushed back. Noah had been one of them, and they'd vowed to watch over his family. But vows weaken when time passes and life keeps rolling. Now his daughter stood before them, bearing both his memory and his emblem. Hawk, the same man who had lawed the hardest, rose slowly. His voice broke when he spoke. "Kid, you shouldn't have had to come here alone." He removed his hat, running his palms over his face. Around the room, Phoebekers shared looks, quiet nods that meant something unspoken had been settled. That night, Lila rode home in a parade of engines and rumble. The Iron Wolves had united like the old days, their beams slicing through Thedric paths. They didn't just help her repair her house, they rebuilt it. The next morning, locals stared in wonder as a dozen bikers painted walls, fixed barriers, and hauled supplies out for the first time in years. Lila's mother grinned. But it wasn't just about fixes. Something within the club had shifted. Lila became a silent emblem of what they'd lost and what they'd regained. The old devotion that had been buried under years of ego came thundering back. They began charity runs, delivering meals to needy homes, collecting funds for veterans and visiting children in hospitals. Always wearing their emblems proudly, always recalling why they started. And at every run, right at front, was Lila riding her father's old bike, restored by the same men who believed they had nothing left to defend. The sight of her, young, resolute, carrying her father's name, gave them meaning again. People in town began calling her the Little Wolf. Months later, during the annual Iron Wolves Assembly, Hawk handed Lila something wrapped in fabric. Inside was a new emblem, custom dash made. It read, Legacy Rider. Below it in smaller letters, Daughter of Noah Brookses. The men watched her stitch it beside her father's original emblem. Not a single eye remained dry. She looked up at them and smiled faintly. Dad used to say, the emblem doesn't make you strong. It reminds you who you ride for. The words resonated in the silent hall. And in that minute, every man in that room understood. It wasn't just leather or thread that bound their brotherhood together. It was love, loyalty, and fecund of courage that doesn't need to roar to be heard. From that day forward, wherever the Iron Wolves rode, Pio Planatus, the young girl among them, Theon, whose coat told a story louder than any engine. She wasn't just carrying her father's legacy. She was writing her own. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to kindnessTalesstories. Every click helps us share more real stories of love, redemption, and humanity with the world. Before you go, tell us in the comments, what does loyalty mean to you? Have you ever met someone whose quiet strength inspired you? And as the engines of the Iron Wolves thundered down the open highway, the wind caught Lila's coat, the twine emblems glinting in the sun. A reminder that kindness, like legacy, never truly fades.